right, hey guys, this is just a chit chat. I'm just gonna get ready for the morning. Although I've been up for a while, I'm just finally getting around to doing my little morning thing. But I wanted to just do a chit chat, and I figured I would do it while I did this, because why not? I'm on lockdown because I live on the East Coast in New England, and we are getting hit with all of that toxic smoke from the wildfires. So I have been locked down in my house, and I hate air conditioning, so I don't use the air conditioner, but I got my air purifier going and I've got the fans going, so it's not horrible. It's not unbearable, but it still sucks. It still sucks that I can't go outside, and it sucks that at night I have to keep my windows shut because I love my windows open at night. Hey. Anyway. I wanted to just talk a little bit about just kind of like where society is at. And again, it's not so much about doom and gloom. It's just kind of like looking at where things are at and realizing that people aren't the same, right? We're not the same. We are very different. And there's no changing that reality, right? But I find I'm really struggling to find the word, because it's not funny. It's sad. It's unfortunate. It's sign of the times. It's normal. All of those negative things that people will comment about things that they haven't even done a lick of research. They haven't even done a simple Google search. Really? It's one thing when something is controversial, right? It's one thing when the information out there is varied and you've got like a mainstream narrative that we're told, and then there's alternative narratives that have some backing. They've got studies, they've got PhDs and researchers behind it. Like, there's definitely alternative views out there, right? And that's not gonna come up with just a traditional search, okay? Just, you look something up. You're gonna get the mainstream narrative, okay? And I understand that the average person doesn't understand how dark the world is that we live in, and censorship is alive. Censorship is real. Suppression of information is real, okay? A lot of people just don't grasp that. But when something is like just known, and it only takes like one search to pull it up, and somebody makes comments that makes themselves look really, really unintelligent and uninformed, it's just sad. It's just sad that there's so many people like this in the world, and people have no ability to self-navigate in this world, and they are basically just parroting what they hear, what they think, what they believe, without challenging it at all, without, looking into it, without trying to have a deeper understanding of things. It's really mind-blowing. And not mind-blowing, really, because I'm not shocked and I'm not surprised. I understand the world that we live in. I understand the design, the setup. We are actively kept to be dumb by the system. They train you. They teach you just enough to memorize their bullshit and to be able to get along in their world that they've created for their slaves, for their plebs, because it's a lot easier to, quote, indoctrinate people. We call that education. Indoctrinate people to believe that they're educated so that they continue to follow the system's program, which is slavery. It's just slavery. Pure and simple. It's slavery. Okay? We just don't have chains. And depending on where you live, you have a bigger pen than somebody else. So, you know, for somebody who lives in a country that they consider to be free, all that means is you do have a bigger pen than somebody who lives in, say, North Korea. Okay? Your pen is bigger. Your prison is bigger, and you're not locked in your room all day long. All right? You're able to move freely. You're able to, you know, do a lot more things. Okay? But the minute you get to the edge and you try to get out, what do you think happens? It's the same for both scenarios. Okay? You get punished. You get punished. You get ridiculed. You get thrown back in, or they put you in prison, or what have you. Okay? You can only go so far before you will be reprimanded if you try to live outside of the system. All right? It's just that simple. And most people are just not intelligent enough to understand that and see that. And people think that that's just the price you have to pay to live in civilized society, blah, blah, blah. Okay, again, people that really have no idea what they're talking about. All right? You know, are there shared agreements that humans need to make in order to live harmoniously with one another? Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. But when there's nowhere for you to go, if you don't agree with the dominant mentality, there's nowhere for you to go, that's slavery. Okay, that's slavery. You are forced into a system that you don't align with. So here we are. So the world is full of people who don't even do basic checks to see if what they're thinking, saying, believing is true. Not even basic ones. Again, I understand there's a lot more work involved in going deeper. I understand that. Most people are absolutely not going to do that. I always laugh and say that if you're not researching until your fingers bleed and your eyeballs are ready to fall out of your head, you're not researching. You're not researching. You're staying on the surface, and you're getting exactly what the system wants you to get. Because the real stuff is behind the curtain. That's just the truth of it. Okay? The truth is behind the curtain. It's not on the stage most of the time. Now, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's right there. And people just don't even have the ability to figure that one out. Like, it's, I don't know. It's disheartening. So I made a comment on a post about pain tolerance and how our ancestors were tougher than we were. And somebody had responded with their belief system because they have to defend their weaknesses. They have to defend where they're at. They have to defend their narrative without doing a lick of research, without even doing a simple Google search, just simple Google search, to realize that this person is not correct. I don't even need to tell her that she's incorrect, okay? A simple Google search would tell her that she's incorrect. I think it's a her. I think. From the name, I think it's a her. But people are always trying to justify their own stuff. They justify. They have to have excuses for why they made the choices they made, why they do what they do. And everybody always defaults to, you know, the victim mentality. Basically is what it is. It's the victim mentality. So if you're curious, it was about pain tolerance. And I was saying how humans in our society, in a modern society where modern drugs are everywhere, they're in every store, you can get them everywhere at any time. We are babies. We have conditioned ourselves to be babies, and not even babies. I think babies are even tougher than most adults, to be perfectly honest. So we have trained ourselves to have low tolerance to pain, both physically, emotionally, mentally, across the board, but especially physically. And when you start taking painkillers because somebody's giving them to you when you're a baby, and you continue them throughout your life, it drastically alters your ability to handle pain. It makes you weak. It has negative effects for your body in a multitude of ways, and it's not doing you any favors. Okay, now, are we talking about car accidents and things of that nature? I'm not talking about those things, okay? I'm talking about everyday pain and the things that come up in most people's lives that are going to cause some pain, okay? That do not need to be suppressed with painkillers if you have not trained your body to be weak. And the body can handle a lot of pain when it's not weak. And somebody might think, well, why would you want to do that? This person actually said that it's torture. And like, yeah, that's pretty dramatic. Because when you experience pain, especially at a high level, it's literally training your physiology. It's training your body, your biology, to be able to handle pain better. And not to mention that when you suppress pain, you're suppressing the healing response, you're suppressing the signaling for the body to actually like really go do stuff because you have pain. Oh my gosh, this is a warning sign, I have to do something. Now, it doesn't diminish it completely, but it definitely suppresses it, okay? And it's suppressing your body's own natural response. It suppresses your body's own endorphins. It suppresses your body's own chemicals that are so fine-tuned to support this process, and you are just throwing a monkey wrench into it with painkillers, okay? And the fact that painkillers are so easily available and people give them to their children like they're fucking candy. And believe me, I see this all the time. My daughter was a dancer, and we would go to competitions and stuff, and let me tell you, everybody was feeding their kids painkillers all the time. Tylenol, Advil, whatever. Mostly Advil, because that's what people use for, like, you know, stuff. And I've just seen it throughout. I've seen it with pretty much everybody I know who has kids, with maybe very few exceptions. You're training your children to be weak, training them. And unfortunately, we are a society that is about go, 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 go. So if you are in pain and you've got to go, 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 then yeah, you can be kind of miserable. But if you can just kind of like flow with it, you actually end up becoming stronger and better because of it. And I know a lot of people that's just not who they are. They're weak. They're weak in spirit. They're weak in mind. They're weak. They're just weak. They're just weak people. And weak people need to palliate everything. They can't handle anything on their own. They need substances. They need excuses. This is just the world that we live in. We are not a society of tough people. Now, yeah, there are tough people. I'm not saying that there aren't tough people. I would laugh when people would talk about how men are babies and women are tougher. I'm like, women are not tougher. Like, what? Like, where does this even come from? It comes from the narrative, right? It's like the feminist narrative. Men are babies, women are tougher. Maybe some men are babies, like maybe they are, but the men in my life, not one of them was a baby. Not my grandfather, not my father, not my brother, not my husband, not his father, okay? Not any of his uncles. Like, I have never been around men that are babies. Now, I know they joke about like when men have a cold, they feel like, you know, the world is caving in or whatever. But I was not around men like that. I was not raised by men like that. And I was not surrounded by men like that ever. My son is not a baby. Okay? And women aren't tough. Most women get epidurals with childbirth. They're popping pills for every little thing that they have. Most women are not tough. I am really tired of that narrative because it's bullshit. It's bullshit. We are a weak society. Look around. We are a weak society. Weak as fuck. My family thinks I'm nuts because I'm always doing things the hard way. They're like, why would you do that? Because I love being tough. Love it. Love being tough. I love being strong and hardy, and I love being able to withstand things. It feels amazing. It feels amazing. It's almost like kind of makes me high a little bit. And I don't mean like, I like it. Don't misunderstand me. It's not like I like it. But there's something really incredible about getting through something that is difficult. And you get to the other side and go, wow, like I did it. Like I did it. And then the next time a bump comes along in the road, something that might have crushed you before is now like a piece of cake. It's like old hat. Like, this was easy. And I think for me personally, the two things that changed me the most, the first one was the birth of my daughter. It was severe back labor. She was malpositioned. I never dilated on my own, so I had to be manually dilated. And I didn't have any medications whatsoever, nothing, not even homeopathy, nothing at all. I was home, and they wanted to do a hospital transport at one point, and I said, I'm not going unless that is the absolute last resort. But it was not the absolute last resort, so I ended up staying home. It was really hard. It was extremely long and grueling. And for any of you that have ever had back labor, know that you don't get a break. Normal labor is cyclical and you get a break between contractions. There's no such thing with back labor. It is just chronic and constant, and it absolutely feels like you are breaking your back. Your back is broken. It is absolutely horrible. It shot up to the top of my head, down to the tips of my toes. My nervous system was involved. I felt like I was being electrocuted. It was actually, it was pretty terrifying. It was terrifying in the moment because I literally didn't know that my body could even handle that much pain and still like survive. But I did survive. I did. And what it did was it radically altered my perception of pain, so that things that I experienced after the birth of my daughter, things that would have normally made me go, oh my God, oh my gosh. Now, I still didn't take painkillers. I haven't taken painkillers since I was in high school. And I'm 57 now, so that's a long time where I haven't taken any kind of pain relievers for any reason whatsoever. None. And I've done things. I've tore my ACL. I've had Lyme disease. I've had all sorts of things that cause serious, serious pain in the body. But when you're tough, you just don't cave, and you're like, yep, whatever, I'm in pain. Okay. Like, it just kind of is what it is. I don't know how to explain it, but it doesn't wreck you. It doesn't make you crumble. And I had to still function too. I literally still had to do stuff. So it's not like I just sat around the house all day. But things that would have made me be like, oh my gosh, this is so painful, after I had my daughter, radically changed my perspective of pain. So something that might have been extremely painful to me prior to that was nothing. I was like, yeah, this is nothing. This is absolutely nothing. And then the second thing that radically changed me was doing a sweat lodge. I did a sweat lodge. The temperature was over 140. We were in there for 6 hours. They do open the tent flap after each round, so you get a little bit of fresh air. That is a long time to be in there at that kind of heat. It was brutal. It was brutal. I actually thought I was going to die a few times. It was brutal. And I had never experienced that intensity of heat and feeling like you're dying, you're being suffocated. Never in my life. And after I got out of that sweat lodge, I definitely had that feeling. I was higher than a kite, and it took me a while to kind of land, but it radically changed me. It radically changed my perspective. It changed my perspective of what it means to be hot. It changed my perspective of what it means to be uncomfortable. It changed my perspective of what discomfort actually is. And now I can withstand things. They're no big deal to me, and other people would be bitching and moaning and complaining. And honestly, even my family, and my family's pretty tough. My family's pretty tough. They deal with broken bones and surgeries and all sorts of things and have not had painkillers. So my family is really, really tough, but they complain about things that I can withstand because I have challenged myself to force myself to be stronger. Because my mom did give us medications for everything when we were little. And, you know, as I got older, I was like, no, I don't want to be weak. I don't want to be weak. I want to be tough. I want to be strong. And so I started to make choices and decisions that started to move me in this direction. I'm pretty mentally tough, which is why it allowed me to be able to do that. But I started doing things that were really not easy. But once you push through it, and once you get through the first couple of them, you start to get better at it. And it's like you become so solid in your being. And when I had my second child, it was a normal birth. It was just normal. And it was easy. Was there pain? But it was easy because of my experience the first time. It was nothing compared to that. Nothing. So I tolerated it easily. And it would have sent most women to get an epidural. Because yeah, it was intense. It was intense. But nothing compared to back labor. Nothing. So for me, I was like, and I get a break in between contractions? Are you kidding me? Like, bring them on. I get a break, and I know I get a break. So just having that little break was perfect for me. I'm like, yes, I get the break. A lot of it is perception, okay? And yes, most people are weak. Sorry, not sorry. Signing out.